Hey, SEC stuff. It is Georgia and Emma, and we are here to review the Auburn versus Oklahoma game that happened last night. I want to go ahead and start by saying what a crazy, annoying game. And this might be bold, but Auburn deserved to win that game. And yes, there were bad calls all throughout the game, but Auburn should have won by 2 touchdowns.
I agree. I think there was obviously that major officiating controversy that they said, "Oh yeah, we did mess up deeply there." I will say Oklahoma fought hard. The defense had 10 sacks, which is a school record. There was that late heroic touchdown from John Mateer to survive Auburn. John Mateer seems amazing. He looks amazing. He's in Heisman contention for sure. He was 24 for 36, 271 yards, one touchdown pass, and one rushing touchdown. 11 straight completions in the second half kept the offense alive despite Auburn's secondary locking down the wide receivers. But this was such a battle between these two teams. I thought it was a fantastic game, but like you said, Auburn should have won.
Yeah, I mean, look, and I'm not saying Oklahoma didn't have a good game. They had an amazing game. Like they looked amazing. Their defensive line, oh my goodness. Poor Jackson Arnold. I'm sure he had to take like a really long ice bath because he was on the ground like all night. But I mean, there's pass interference that wasn't called. And I'm not saying that Auburn didn't have get away with stuff either. Auburn got away with some holding on the line, but that's kind of normal stuff at this point. But I don't know. It was just when you have to put out an official statement afterwards that the officiating was crap the whole game.
Yeah, and so let's talk about that. The play itself was in the second quarter after a botched Auburn punt snap gave Oklahoma possession deep into Tiger territory. Wide receiver Isaiah Satania III appeared to jog towards the sidelines as if he was leaving the game. Instead of stepping off, he stopped right in front of the Oklahoma sideline. Auburn defenders assumed he had subbed out and didn't cover him. On the snap, Satinga was completely left uncovered and caught an easy touchdown. So, why it looked illegal, NCAA Rule number 9.2, Article 2, unfair tactics. No simulated replacements or substitutions may be used to confuse opponents. No tactic associated with substitutes or the substitution process may be used to confuse opponents, and that includes any hideout tactic with or without substitution. So because it looked like he was leaving the field, Auburn's defense assumed a substitution. So according to the rule book, this is exactly what counts as a hideout tactic. Auburn was absolutely livid, as they should be. Hugh Freeze said, I better be quiet. We were told all offseason this type of deception is illegal.
Yeah, and then Oklahoma's OC argued it was a tempo play, not deception, and they did not substitute on the prior play, therefore substitution rules didn't apply. And they also said Isaiah checked with referee before lining up wide by the sideline. Obviously, it should have still been called, and obviously the SEC agrees that it should have been called. I'm not against sneaky plays. Sometimes you gotta be a little sneaky, but, yeah, this was definitely I don't know, it pissed me off, and I'm not even an Auburn fan. I'd be pissed off too, so I totally get it.
Well, I mean, the whole point is it was a 7-point game at the end of the day. That was a touchdown. So the game ideally would have been potentially tied. They could have gone to overtime. Plus, there were all those calls that were not called, all those penalties that were not called. So, I mean, this was a rough one on the officiating side.
Oh, yeah, I mean, they basically were just having a piggyback ride on Cam Coleman for a few plays, like and no pass interference was called whatsoever. I was like, "Oh, he's basically riding on his back. What's happening here?" It was crazy. Jackson Arnold did have 21 out of 32 passes, 220 yards, and he had solid accuracy under heavy pressure. Even though he had those 10 sacks, I was very impressed with how Auburn was able to get past Oklahoma's secondary because that was something that I was like, if Oklahoma's able to stop the run, how is Auburn going to perform in that? But obviously, they have Cam Coleman. And like I said in the preview, throw it up, he'll get to it unless he has someone riding his back.
And Oklahoma obviously has a sensational pass rush with those 10 sacks right there. They bullied Michigan, they bullied Auburn, but they still have to play teams like Texas, LSU, Alabama, and Tennessee. So, will they be able to continue this level of dominance? I'm not sure yet, but John Mateer seems like the real deal. He's been solid, but not spectacular statistically, but he does stay atop the Heisman odds. But he'll need more signature games, 300 plus yards, multiple touchdowns against top defenses to seal that prize for him. And can their offense really finish more drives consistently? Because OU settled for field goals versus Auburn, and against better opponents like what we saw with Tennessee. Bama's looking a little bit better nowadays. We're not really sure exactly what Texas is. LSU looks great. So they're failing to convert in the red zone, and that could cost them later down the line because their schedule isn't very easy. And then with Auburn, it's can Jackson Arnold thrive for this full season with that offensive line really slacking, him getting sacked 10 times? It makes it nearly impossible to establish a rhythm. So Auburn must protect him better, or else he probably will get injured one of those times because that's a lot to take.
Yeah, I mean, there was a sack where it just looked like they were just, like, throwing him down like a little rag doll, and he's not a small guy. So, I mean, defensive linemen, they're big, and it doesn't matter how big you are of a quarterback, they can definitely throw you down to the ground, and he spent a lot of time on the ground, 10 sacks. I mean, school history. It was it was a I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this game. John Mateer, though, he does look really great. I was a little uncertain of him being in the Heisman, like the number 1 Heisman contender right now. But after watching yesterday's game, he definitely has just like this poise about him. And even though, like you said, his stats aren't crazy off the charts, he's a good manager of the game, and he definitely has everyone on the team behind him, which is really nice, and his defense makes it easy for him. It's nice to have a really good defense and then just be able to get out there and play.
Like we have both said, Auburn, in our opinion, should have won this game. There's a big controversy surrounding this loss, so Auburn really must regroup mentally. So there are so many games left to be played this season, and it really does suck that due to a technicality, that may be the reason why they lost this game when there is really, even in this 12 team playoff, such a small margin of error, especially in the SEC when everybody is good. Anybody can win any given Saturday. So it does put a damper on their season a little bit. So it sucked for them, honestly.
It definitely does, and then Hugh Freeze, I mean, this is the ninth straight road loss against a ranked team for Auburn, and you start to question, okay, Hugh Freeze, your team looks great, but they're still not winning these big games, and you can throw out excuses all day, like I have been. I threw out the excuse for them, but at the end of the day, they didn't win, and this is a loss on their record this season. Um, as someone who's chronically online, Auburn fans are already saying, "Go ahead and fire him," which, people are really fast to do that now. It is. I actually was listening to Mark Ingram talk about Dabo Sweeney, and it's like we in this day and age, we don't care about your pedigree. As he said, you have to win now or you're gone, and that's just how it is. Um, which I think is unfortunate because you don't get to really build these players like you should, but that's not what the fans want, that's not what the school wants, they wanna win now. So if you can't come in and win now, or as Hugh Freeze, you've been here for 3 years, if you can't win now, there's an issue. So I see if Auburn doesn't get to the playoffs, I think Hugh Freeze will be gone.
Yeah, and I think, like you brought up Dabo Sweeney, I think he has a little bit more leeway because he has been to the national championship multiple times, won it twice. So he has a little bit more time in this current age of college football, but the Billy Napiers of the world, the Hugh Freezes, Kalen DeBoer, if you don't make it to the playoffs, it's not looking good for your job where you currently are. You'll find a new team, hopefully, but yeah, it's a lot faster to fire in this day and age.
It is a long road ahead of us, and I'm just really excited for the games to continue because they're just gonna keep getting better and more entertaining. But yeah, I Auburn has a brutal schedule ahead of them. Oklahoma has a brutal schedule ahead of them, and we'll just see how the rest of the year goes.
Hugh Freeze, we're just gonna have to see. It seems like Venables is good for now. Um, and we'll see how a couple of these other coaches fare. We get Kalen DeBoer playing Georgia next week, so we'll see what happens there. Georgia and I will be reviewing that game, so come watch that. That'll be fun. But what did you guys think about this Auburn OU matchup? Were you upset about the controversy? We are. We think Auburn should have won. Let us know in the comments. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Bye bye.